Before we get back to the show, I'd like to personally invite you to my own little slice of the web that's a whole lot of fun. JimsMigos.com is the online web store extension of the show and all things Lone Producer Studios, plus a lot of fun stuff for kids of all ages. At JimsMigos.com, you can get DVDs from previous and current Lone Producer Studios productions, as well as fun stuff not available in our viewing area, such as these fellows. Have some fun and come play with me at JimsMigos.com. Now, let's get back to the show. And welcome back, everybody. Now, if you're just now tuning in, I'm joined today by Jay Piscopo, who is the creative mind behind the Undersea Adventures of Captain Eli, which is a fun series of graphic novels and comic books available now at Capt'nEli.com. Now, Jay, one of the things as a reviewer that really caught my eye was your style, which to me is so unique in the way you blend that classic Hanna-Barbera feel with modern manga that I normally don't care much for, but with the way you've done it, I actually enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we kind of took a the clue I took from the manga stuff, and also you see this a lot in European comics as well, not just in Japanese, but it's where you have very realistic backgrounds and very, very detailed backgrounds, and then having 2D characters or a simpler representation of a character in the same scene. And at first, when I started doing that, I got some people didn't like it, but most people do like it. And what's interesting is now when you look at, years later, you're seeing a lot of animation use the same technique now. So when you go see an animated film, it'll have 3D backgrounds and 3D props and things like that. But then you'll have 2D characters that have been integrated with it. And I just love that style. And in general, it's always neat to me whenever backgrounds have been really developed. So it gives you a real sense of place. And when the character is simplified, I think it makes it easier for the reader to identify. So if characters are much more photorealistic, it puts up sort of a barrier, I think, in terms of identification.
Well, see, and that's another point that I would like to bring up as a reviewer as well. When it comes to the blending of 2D and 3D art, it's funny how the images kind of pull your mind's eye into the background and let you, as the reader, become more involved in the story. Now, filling in more details to the simplistic style and backgrounds.
Because that's one of the things I don't like in a lot of modern comics today is that there's no. Sometimes you'll have some beautiful, absolutely detailed artwork, but there's no story flow. So you'll spend like 10 minutes looking at a panel that you should be spending maybe only 30 seconds looking at to move on to the next panel, and it should work almost like film. And sometimes it bothers me when I see some of these comics where it's got a lot of detail and a lot of photorealistic stuff happening, but I read through and I go, what just happened? Did anything happen? It's just a lot of mood, but not too many events or anything, in terms of story happening.
So it's kind of a keep it simple and to the point style, if you will.
Exactly. That's the whole thing, is make a page turner. You want to turn the page to find out what happens next. And, I think I take a lot of my cues from a lot of older cartoonists like Alex Toth, who designed all the Hanna-Barbera characters. He was, very, very adamant about making things clear and making storytelling very, very clear, and using, the fewest number of lines possible to make things look realistic. And Jack Kirby also is a big influence for me, where, I'd read a Kirby comic, and it's just incredibly entertaining because it was like 200%. You got more than the kitchen sink, in every comic. And the story flow, there was a really nice story flow, but then you got a lot of interesting visuals and concepts kind of being thrown at you. But it all held together.
Well, very true. Another aspect of the world that you've created that really made it even more fun for me was Commander X, who is also an action figure that's available through your website. But this guy just explodes off the pages with his quintessential hero look and style. Where were the influences for Commander X?
Oh, yeah, I remember when I first saw Indiana Jones, when I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I was like, wow, what a great, this is the perfect hero for me. And set in the 1930s, and that was a big influence with Commander X as well. Even though when you first read the book, we see Commander X as a much older hero, a big gray beard and everything. But as we find out through the story that he was a massive superhero in the 1930s and World War II, and I just love the old pulp era hero, Doc Savage, all that kind of stuff. And Commander X was such a wonderful opportunity to kind of to branch out and do some stuff with that. In fact, this Christmas, every year we do a thing called Commander Xmas, and we have a free online comic book at the website. And both years prior, we have those available too, so you can take a look at those and download those. And this year, in this December, we have a whole new one coming out, and it features all Commander X. And this year, we're promoting the Sea Ghost comic book in a sly way in Commander Xmas, in that Commander X is teaming up with the Sea Raider. I know it's kind of confusing, but the Sea Raider is the Sea Ghost's former identity in World War II. And this all become clear as you read the book. I'm sure people hearing this for the first time are like, what is he talking about? But it's a fun way to kind of cross-promote all these different characters. And also, I enjoy every December, it's a free comic, it's online, and it's just sort of our gift from Nemo Publishing to everybody who enjoys the books.
Which is yet another example of how your team shows that you are far beyond just selling books and toys. And as a matter of fact, I want to point out to the audience that when you guys launched Captain Eli, this type of family-friendly comic book entertainment was a really big gamble.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, the thing is, when we started this and came up with the business plan and everything, I was warning everybody that what we're doing and how we, the comic book market is not going to be our friend to a certain degree. It's going to be kind of an uphill battle because, I think zombie stuff just started to come in. Like now you see everything's zombies wherever you look now. But stuff like that had just started coming in, and, horror and adult-oriented stuff. And I was like, if we do this right, I think we just need to get to the audience. They're there. They want to see this, And there's no real, I don't have there's no political or religious agenda with it. It's just that we want to create entertainment that everybody can read and enjoy. And it's not like stuff happens in Captain Eli. There's wars and people die and there's tragic things that happen. But it's how it's dealt with and how it's shown, I think, makes it a little bit different. And the Commander X stuff was to me a great opportunity because you've got this guy who's fighting in World War II. You'd think, is this appropriate for kids and stuff? But we make it, I think it works, and it's like a great old movie. That's kind of what our attitude with it.
But unlike an old movie, the Captain and his pals aren't tired old stories just shined up. These are truly unique and original stories.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's that's what the thing is. It's got to, in order for it to work, and hopefully people like it. It's got to. They can't feel like they're just reading some rehash of something, or just just a pastiche of Hanna-Barbera cartoons. It's been really important to me to try to keep it contemporary with using the 3D and stuff. But something that I believe is that in terms of storytelling, just in straight storytelling, when we've lost a lot, in terms of when I watch an old movie and I see the kind of wonderful storytelling, simple storytelling techniques to get ideas and themes across. And compared to now, when I see a movie and there's too much video game influence, way too many quick cuts. It's not really about a story; it's about going to the next level, kind of a thing. And I think great storytelling technique, we've kind of lost something. And I'm trying to get as much of that as I can. I spend a lot of time studying this and looking at it, and looking at the structure of a lot. One of my favorite shows I watch still is Have Gun Will Travel. You remember with Richard Boone? Mm-hmm. And one of the things I love about watching that show is it's just a half-hour show, and you get a complete active story full of action, and also there's something to be learned. There's always some, Paladin is very well read, so you always hear some interesting bit of information in there. And it's only a half hour long. And that's something I try to think about when I'm writing my comics. Usually a comic story is 22 pages, or in the Eli book, each chapter is 22 pages. So I try to get that same feeling where it's really packed full of information, yet it's still very clear.
And chock full of fun cliffhangers from chapter to chapter. Well, again, it's time for a quick break, but don't go away. When we get back, we'll discuss another really cool aspect of all these wonderful creations and how you can get your very own Commander X action figure that is also a modern-day classic. Viewers of the